In today's class, we are going to have a overviewing of Module 4. In Module 4, we will be seeing on disinfection, okay, and then we will be having some discussion on miscellaneous treatment process. In disinfection, we will be seeing what is the theory of disinfection and methods of disinfection and the chlorination. Then we will be continuing with the miscellaneous treatment. In the miscellaneous treatment, we will be seeing the softening, that is by using the lime soda and the zeolite process, then estimation, then fluoride and defluoridation, then Nalgonda technique and RO technique. So this is what we are going to discuss in today's class. Okay, so first one is screening, then aeration, sedimentation, filtration, disinfection. So we are into this part, that is into the disinfection part we will be discussing on in a today's class. Okay, now we will see what is the disinfection first. The disinfection is nothing but the process of killing of microbes is nothing but called as a disinfection. See, whenever raw water is there, in that various kinds of microbes will be there in that particular water, so we need to kill it, or else it is going to create some waterborne diseases to the human being or the living organisms. Okay, the waterborne diseases like the dysentery, typhoid, cholera, all these things will be getting arise when we don't disinfect the water. So that is the reason why we need to disinfect the water. Okay, now how the mechanism of disinfection is, first of all, it is going to damage the cell wall of the microbes when we do the disinfection. Then alteration of the cell permeability will be done, changing the colloidal nature of the cell protoplasm, inactivation of enzyme system responsible for metallic activities. This we have talked in detail. Then the methods of disinfection. In the methods of disinfection, we have studied regarding the what are the different physical methods. In that, we have studied the boiling of water, UV light. Then in the chemical methods, we have studied we have seen the chlorine, bromine, ozone. Then your potassium permanganate treatment. In metal ions, we will be using the silver ions and alkali and acids. So this is how we are going to disinfect the water by using some of the physical and the chemical method. Now we'll see what are the different minor methods of disinfection. Okay, we will be seeing now the minor methods of disinfection. In minor methods of disinfection, we have seen the boiling of water, treatment with excess lime, ozone treatment, iodine and bromine treatment, UV treatment, then potassium permanganate treatment and the silver treatment. We call them as a minor methods of disinfection, and also we can use this for a very low scale or the low population or a very less amount of people. When we need to have the disinfection, then we will be using this method of disinfection. The reason why we cannot use it for the community supply is, suppose this is your source of water. If we add some of these methods of disinfection, for example, we'll take a boiling and it implements to all other methods. When we boil the water, the microbes are going to get killed. But when we are going to transmit it to the conveyance line to the people through the conveyance line or through the pipeline, now if any breakage or any leakage is there in this particular water line, if any outside element, if it is going to be getting inside or it is going to have an entry in this particular conveyance line, then this particular boiling method is not going to take care regarding the further contamination. But the chlorination method is going to take care regarding this further contamination. So that is the reason why we don't use your minor methods of disinfection, and these will be proven costly. Okay, for that reason we will be not using the disinfection of minor methods of disinfection. So this is regarding the minor methods of disinfection. Now we will see what are the different types of chlorination. Now the chlorination is going to prevent the further contamination. Now suppose if we are going to have your disinfection process over here, now there is some amount of chlorine is going to be left, that we call it as an residual chlorine. Even though if there is a leakage or breakage is there in this particular conveyance line, then the microbes will be entering into this particular conveyance line, and the chlorine that is going to remain after killing of the microbes into your treatment plant, that we call as an residual chlorine. That residual chlorine, if it is there in this particular conveyance line, then it is going to kill all the microbes which are going to come into this particular conveyance line. So that is the reason why we will be normally we will be going for the chlorination rather than the other minor methods of disinfection, because it is going to take care regarding the further contamination, that is when the water is going to be flowed into the conveyance line. So this is nothing but your chlorination. Now we will see what are the different types of chlorination are there. In this, plain chlorination is there, pre-chlorination, post-chlorination, double chlorination, breakpoint chlorination, super chlorination and dechlorination. Now we will see one by one what is plain chlorination. Plain chlorination is application of chlorine to the plain or raw water supply as it enters the distribution system. So that is nothing but the plain chlorination. Then pre-chlorination is nothing but the application of chlorine to water before its treatment, specially before filtration. That is, the name itself is indicating the pre-chlorination. Now post-chlorination is your application of chlorine to water after its treatment, the standard form of chlorination in which the chlorine is added when it is going to leave after the filtration. That is nothing but post chlorination, or after filtration. If we are going to allow the chlorine to it, then we call it as a post chlorination. Then double chlorination, double or multiple chlorination, it is implements to the chlorine that we are going to add 2 times. As we have already told, we are going to add it 2 times. Okay, now before the water enters to the sedimentation tank, and we are adding the chlorination once again after having the filtration process. That is nothing but called as a double chlorination. Now the breakpoint chlorination is applied to water to take place 2 activities. It kills the bacteria and the disinfection is getting affected. It oxidizes the organic matter. Now here I have shown one particular diagram of our breakpoint chlorination. I won't go much in detail, but I'll just draw one particular diagram of your breakpoint chlorination. Okay, so here it is A, B, C and D. This already I have explained in detail. The x-axis, it shows that the applied chlorine, and this is y-axis, it shows the residual chlorine. This is applied chlorine and this is residual chlorine. Now when chlorine is added, right, then for initially the water will be pure and hence the chlorine demand is not required. Okay, a curve having a line A in figure is obtained between the applied chlorine. So here line A, when the water is clear and if we add the chlorine, then applied chlorine and residual chlorine will go hand in hand. Okay, now however, generally when water has a chlorine demand, that means when a certain amount of microbes are there, then the curve B is going to exist. Here, from here, the applied chlorine and residual chlorine, since here there was no chlorine demand was there, it has went straight. Now but when there is an microbes are there in this particular water, the chlorine demand will be there and it is going to be represented as on a curve B. It is obtained between the residual and the applied chlorine. The first chlorine, the action, it is going to perform the action of removing the bacteria. During the disinfection process, the amount of residual chlorine will be less in the beginning, during which the various chemicals and ions, your sulfides or nitrates, will be present in water and it is going to be oxidized. The combined residual will graduate, it is going to increase from the point A to B, and then from B again it is going to get reduces. Okay, then D is from B to C, we call it as an breakpoint chlorination, and from C again it is going to reach the 45-degree angle. This I have explained in detail. Now this is regarding your breakpoint chlorination. Super chlorination is nothing but this is the beyond the stage of breakpoint. When we add the chlorine, this is called as the super chlorination. Okay, we usually add it in during the rainy season when there is a too much amount of microbes will be there in the water. At that particular time we will be using the super chlorination. Then dechlorination is the process of removing the excessive chlorine which is present in water. That is nothing but called as an dechlorination. Next is your we will be coming to the hardness of water, that is it comes under your miscellaneous treatment. The hardness of water, it is due to the presence of the hardness is going to be divided into temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Temporary hardness, when it is going to have the calcium and magnesium associated with carbonates and bicarbonates. Permanent hardness is when calcium or magnesium is associated with sulfate, nitrate and chlorides. Okay. Now disadvantages of hard water, water will be alkaline, food will be less tasty, formation of scaling, then formation of white patches on clothes, etc., etc. Then it is going to again create a problem in your boilers also. Then method to remove temporary hardness, boiling and addition of lime. Then methods to remove the permanent hardness, it is lime soda and the zeolite process. Now methods to remove permanent hardness, we are going to have the lime soda process, and the lime soda process will be having all these reactions. These reactions we have already discussed in a detail, right? So when calcium bicarbonate is there, and if we add the lime water to that, then it is going to form the CaCO3, which is going to be precipitate, and it is going to give you H2O. Then Mg magnesium bicarbonate CaOH2, then it is going to form the calcium carbonate bicarbonate is going to form magnesium hydroxide is going to get settled down at the bottom. Magnesium carbonate, when it is going to react with that lime water, it is going to form MgOH2 and CaCO3, which is going to be a precipitate. So all these things we have discussed in a detail. All these particular equations, you kindly refer those particular equation for your lime soda process, and this is going to be very, very important with regard to your exam. Then advantages of lime soda is it is economical, and it can be combined with the usual water treatment method. Combination of lime soda makes less utilization than of coagulant. Then this increases the pH of water, which reduces your corrosion, and it helps in killing some of the bacteria. It helps in reducing the total mineral content in water. It helps in removing the iron and manganese. Disadvantages of large amount of sludge is going to form, and careful operation and skilled supervision is required, and this process does not give the water of zero hardness. So this is regarding your lime soda process. Then your zeolite process, we have the formula for zeolite, that is Na2O Al2O3 X HSiO2 Y into H2O. Okay, so when we add the Na2Z, that is a soda zeolite, we are going to add, then it is going to react with calcium and magnesium of bicarbonate, sulfate and chloride, and it is going to form the sodium salts. Then it is going to form the calcium or magnesium zeolite exchanges. Okay, so this is how your lime soda process is going to work. And then we have seen the zeolite process. Now we first of all will see some of the advantages of zeolite process. Water of zero hardness can be obtained. The plant is compact, automatic and easy to operate. No sludge is formed, and the running maintenance and operation is cost is less. Removes iron and manganese from water. No incrustation problem. Not suitable for turbid water. Okay, these are some of the disadvantages. It is bit costlier, and leaves sodium carbonate, which causes the foaming. Then fluoridation. Now fluoride is required for our health. That is, this comes under the miscellaneous treatment. In order to have the good in order to have the strong teeth and bones, we need the fluoride content. The fluoride content should be in water, it should be around 1 mg per liter. The desirable limit is 1 mg per liter, and permissible limit is 1.5 mg per liter. If it is more than 3, it is going to cause the dental fluorosis, that is the more brownish patches on the teeth, and above it is in between 5 mg to 20 mg per liter, it is going to cause the skeletal fluorosis, that is the the bones will not be grown properly. So the fluoride is very important in order to have the stronger teeth and bone, but if it is going to exceed also, it is going to create a problem to our health that we have discussed in the previous classes. Okay, now how to add the fluoride. If the fluoride content is less in water, we will be adding the chloride from the outside. So how we are going to add it? By having the fluoride in terms of sodium fluoride, that is NaF. By having the sodium silicofluoride, we are going to add. Then hydrofluoric fluorosilicic acid we are going to add. So this is regarding your fluoridation. If fluoride content is less in water, we are going to supply it from the externally. Now defluoridation, we have seen the absorption by activated alumina, the your ion exchange absorption method, then Nalgonda technique. The absorption by activated alumina, we called it as the Prashanti technique. Then we have seen regarding your miscellaneous treatment, that is reverse osmosis. We have seen reverse osmosis. Suppose if the water is having more amount of hardness, then we will be using this particular reverse osmosis method. In the reverse osmosis method, what we are going to have is we will be using the semi-permeable membrane. If the water, whatever water we are going to treat, we are going to add the semi-permeable membrane as a membrane. Then we will be, whatever the water that hardness has to be removed, that we are going to pass it through the semi-permeable membrane under the osmotic pressure. Then this semi-permeable membrane, it is going to attract whatever the hardness creating elements are there. It is going to be attracted and it is going to be get arrested into the pores inside it, and then ultimately we are going to get the salt concentrated water at the one end, and the fresh water we are going to get it at the other end. Okay, now the RO is going to reject the particle smaller than 0.001 micron. Okay, whereas it is restricted up to the total dissolved hardened solids up to 1000 to 10,000 mg per liter with having the low pressure. Okay, now nanofiltration is one which is going to work under a high pressure, and it is going to take the water of hardness of having the micropore membrane, which is going to have 0.001 microns. Okay, there are some ultra and microfiltration are also there, which is going to have the low filters. This particular reverse osmosis is going to work at a pressure of around 1000 kg per centimeter square and above. Okay, so this is regarding the miscellaneous treatment, and here we have completed the module 4 revision. In the next class we are going to have the overweaving of the module 5, and after this we will be concluding our classes of your online classes. Okay, so this is what your module 4 is having. Module 4 we have discussed on disinfection, different methods of your theory of disinfection, different methods of disinfection. We have discussed on breakpoint chlorination. Then we have discussed on, in the miscellaneous treatment, how to remove hardness by having temporary hardness, permanent hardness, how to remove it, lime soda process and SS lime. Then zeolite process we have discussed. Then what is fluoridation, what is defluoridation, how we can have the fluoridation and the defluoridation technique, that we have discussed. Then we have also seen the reverse osmosis and what is the micro, ultra and the nanofiltration. So this is what your module 4 was having, and hence we are going to conclude the module 4 revision. Thank you.